When we come to your game reserve, which is a private game reserve, how is the economy working here? What do you do for wildlife conservation and
so on the private areas, we the government is not responsible for protecting the animals. We have to pay for our own anti-poaching, so we hire people from the villages, train them up to be able to do the anti-poaching, and then we have different scout camps out in the field where they actually stay, and then from there they do day patrols or longer week-long patrols, for example.
Yeah.
On these private game reserves, because we have a long-term investment plan, because the land is private and we have some security, we are able to invest far more into anti-poaching than they can in the short-term government hunting concessions or national parks and so forth.
Okay.
So on these private areas, on average, we have 10 times as many scouts doing anti-poaching per hectare than they do in the best national parks or government hunting concessions in Zambia.
Okay, yeah. And on these 30,000 hectares we are surrounded by here, can you tell us how many scouts do you have, how many scout camps, and how do they work?
Currently we've got about 12, I think, scout camps. It varies. Sometimes we move some or change or put new. Each scout camp will have 3 to 4 to 5 people, depending on the location of it. And in total we have between the whole area probably about 50 anti-poaching staff.
Yeah.
And they basically live out in the bush in their camps. They've got their little houses there, and spend 3 weeks of the month at work, and during that period they go out and check for footprints from poachers, listen for gunshots, look for wire snares, whatever it may be, look for what animals are around in certain areas, and then they will report that to somebody senior, and from there, whether they've heard a gunshot or seen footprints from poachers, some action will be taken on how to deal with that particular situation.
Yeah, and as I understand, there's also a kind of reward in this system where if a scout catch a poacher, he will get a reward, or if local people from the village, they hear about meat getting sold or whatever, then they can report it to the scouts.
So to encourage the anti-poaching teams, we do what we can to make them do their work or want to do their work more. So there are incentives for when they catch a poacher or find a wire snare or get a muzzleloader. And the same with, we've got informers in the villages that will pay some money whenever they give us some information that leads to an arrest or collection of some illegal materials like a snare or a muzzleloader or whatever it may be.
Yeah.
So we've got a big system in place to try and combat the poaching as much as possible, with incentives for when they do succeed in catching somebody. Sort of works well as an encouragement to do their jobs better than just have a job, you know.
And as we can understand, it's not for free to have all these guys employed just for that. But
no.
So
so as I said, these private areas are long-term investments.
Yeah.
None of them actually make a profit. We all run at major losses of varying magnitude. But sort of the long-term goal is more important to us than actually making money on this. Through hunting, we can fund majority of our operating costs, but there are a lot of costs attached to doing something like this, and hunting or photographics or other things by itself can't actually cover these costs. So we are willing to put in the money that is necessary ourselves to ensure that this here is a long-term project, and that the wildlife and the habitat is secured. So if down the line, hopefully we could maybe have a situation where we can combine hunting and photographic safaris and other forms of conservation, and maybe even other revenue streams like carbon credits or whatever it may be, that can bring money from different directions, and that way we might be able to, we don't want to make a profit, but at least pay for all of our expenses.
Yeah.
But for now we are we are mostly living off the hunting revenue that we get, or the trophy hunting revenue that we get. Yeah.